Now I found you a way to dupe the mini rolling pins. If you buy these on Amazon, they're a whopping $10.45. Here's how we do it. We grab one of the toilet plungers from Dollar Tree, or you can get the large wooden dowels from Walmart. I've marked them already where they need to be cut, and I'm using the dowel pins that I got from Dollar General. We are going to go ahead and place these together. Save the bottom half of the dowel pins to make great Christmas ornaments. You can check out that video up above. So let's go ahead and start attaching the dowel pin tops to the actual wooden dowel, and this will form our rolling pin. Now ours will have a finished cut of 6 inches. When you buy them in the package, they are about 8 inches, and they still work just the same. These would be great for Play-Doh or crafting, doing your paper mache clays and different things. So they are usable. I'm making them for decorative purposes. Now I recommend using the clear wax by Waverly. The reason being is it will preserve them their natural color and they'll last forever and they're washable. I'm going to mix it up. Rather than using paper or any vinyl lettering, I'm going to put fabric on mine. This makes it very versatile, easy to change. And I'm just cutting and trimming my pieces of fabric to size. And it takes such a small amount. When you do plaid, of course, you want to take it easy and go slow so that you get all your checks lined up. There you go. We have our first one completed. The second one, I really wanted the pumpkins and the pumpkin patch and the farm to show up on the rolling pin so that when you revolved it around, you'd be able to see it. So I just very strategically cut my fabric and placed it where it would fit. Then I decided, this would look really neat if it had a frayed edge. So I clipped it, a little bit of elbow grease, and rip the fabric. So this will relieve stress, ladies, very easily. And as I tore it, it's going to stay straight on the grain. This is high quality fabric, and I got this fabric from Walmart. Now I'm gluing just a little bit of hot glue, and I'm making the edges meet so that you do not even see that there is a line of cut there at all. You can easily see the pumpkin farm. This next one we're going to use burlap. And of course I wanted a little fray on the side, and once again just a tiny bit on edges. That's real easy to accomplish, and of course I'm rolling towards it so that it has the little fray edge hanging over one side. And these look so adorable. Oh my goodness. Now the piece of fabric that I took from the other cloth, I'm just tying it, and I'm going to glue it onto the burlap one. And that made it look really spiffy. I have my orange that's going with all of my decor for fall, and placed it on the other, and then wrapped some jute twine on the plaid one. Voila! Look at these beauties. Are they not gorgeous? And these costed us a whole whopping $2. There you go. Make your own rolling pin. Dupe number 2 is the thank you sign. This is a P-gram thank you. You can see a whopping $32. We're going to use a Dollar Tree sign, the Dollar Tree galvanized thank you, some pumpkin Waverly paint, chalk paint, some fabric, and some cannon lids. The first thing I did was cut my burlap to the size I wanted and frayed it a little bit and glued it on. The next layer was my fabric to coordinate with all of my fall DIY decor. And next, I want to tie a little bit of jute twine around the edge just for decorative looks, and it looks really nice. Now, take your cannon lids, and you want to lay them pretty close together. Right there, 125th anniversary on the ball cannon lid, which is what I really prize and want to show off. And I'm going to glue that on top of the 2 pumpkin colored lids. Now that floral stem we had left over from a previous video, you'll see it up above. I'm just cutting it and bending it with my needle nose pliers to make a stem for the pumpkin. Now this is where I desire to place it on my sign, is right on the sign. And as you can see, the letters are a little too long, so we're going to size them up. Now I worked at this and use a pair of scissors and you can cut the galvanized letters apart. These are from Dollar Tree. I'm still working at it and I keep going back and looking and referencing to see which ones I can cut. And I see that between the K and the F, the T and the H, and it looks like one more here, the A and the H. And I'm cutting off the extra metal. This will make it comfortably customize and fit. So now it's time to glue everything into place. And I stage it and lay it up there. I want that L to kind of go up under the pumpkin and the T, H, A, N, K, and now the FUL. And just begin gluing those and make them fit. Since it's cursive writing, it looks really natural and you don't even know they've been cut. And I worked at that, being really careful with that hot melt. Now I'm going to finagle my FUL up under the pumpkin edge there, and I want it traveling upward at an angle. I'm going to put a bow in my G-twine, and voila, here we go. Ours costed a whopping $2. Make you a Dunn sign. Dupe number 3, how to make a Scarecrow hat. Would cost you a whopping $17.99. This is an easy make. You're first going to cut a burlap 18 inches by 20 inches and go ahead and glue down the whole side and put it together. Turn it inside out, and next we are going to cut 2-inch, 2.5 inches long apart, 2 inches apart, 2.5 inches long slits in it. This will make it easy for it to be around. And use some of the wood glue or any glue as a stay put stitch. You'll also want to put glue right here where the cuts are to keep it from rattling since it's burlap. This is turning out really good. It looks nice. The next step is we want to go ahead and stuff it. This will give it contour so we can shape it. Now about 5 inches up from the slit, you want to start pulling your seam tight to shape it into a cone. I have my dowel pins and some black cording. The black cording is pretty thick. It came with like the Christmas decorating, and you're going to run it pretty far across there, about 2.5 inches wide, and starting that first one 5 inches up. You'll take your time, but you're going to pull it really taut and tie it into just a regular knot. Once you've got that tied, you'll go ahead and clip it. Leave yourself some extra yardage there on your cord and go about 1.5 inches to 2 inches up from the first stitch and put you a second stitch. Tie it into a knot as well and clip it to shorten it. Now we're just checking it out and it's looking pretty good, and we need to keep this closed up top as we form our cone. And I've took the math out of this because this was really a challenge. I had no idea that a Scarecrow hat would cost such a big dollar, and I could make this burlap hat for such a reasonable price. I already had the stuff. Now when you make your final stitch, you want to make sure you gather up your burlap and you've got it shaping into the cone, and do this one diagonal. That is your 4th stitch in your top one, your very last one. And once you've tied this one off, you're really going to see a difference. And I took the math out of it because this was a challenge. Now, upon doing that, we have got to cut this extra off. It's not necessary and it's really in our way. Cut that at an angle, and I just laid my ruler there and went up to the top to decide how much of a degree, about 45 to 90 degrees, and cut off that extra 2 inches at the top. You will not need it. It's just in your way and it's just extra stuffing. So start gathering it together by putting the cut piece in the center and pulling it pretty taut. Make sure you keep your shape before you begin gluing. And put a little hot melt glue in there. The Sure Bonder glue is excellent. And start forming it and pleating it. glue your Scarecrow hat together. Now, this is how she's looking. Pretty good. Shaped up real nice. And we're going to restuff her now with our plastic sacks. And you can use polyfill. It's your option. Now I've got a flat surface where it'll sit flat on my porch sitter. And I'm cutting some paper here, some craft paper to stuff in the bottom. And they'll just keep it inserted in there without falling out. I have this braided jute cord. You will find the affiliate link down below in the description box. This is beautiful stuff, and it looks gorgeous. And it's just a single tie, but I did put a little glue there to hold it in place. So if this needed to be used for a child's costume or an adult costume, you could. Now we're going to make some fabric sunflowers. So cut you some 5" by 8" strips of fabric. And these are really beautiful. I selected 2 colors per sunflower. So you'll fold it and make sure that you do not cut all the way to the top, but you're going to cut the whole 8 inches length and maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 inch wide strips. Once you've gotten that to 8 inches, cut it off. This is our secondary one. This one can be a little smaller, about 4.5 inches by 8 inches, to make the secondary layer of our fabric sunflowers. And you'll do it the same way. Fold it in half and cut about 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. Now we need 4 cardboard rounds, if you can hold on to your tracing bottle. And once you cut those, this is what we're going to glue our fabric sunflower onto. And you'll gather it as you go along, but stay pretty close, maybe 1/4 inch to the edge for that first layer. And just work slowly and be careful of the hot melt. The Sure Bonder glue is very tacky and sticky, and it is so good. It's such a great product. I love it, and it's perfect for making these. Now our secondary layer, stay about 1/2 inch to 1 inch away from where it ended on the first one, and then begin and go all the way around, just working around until you get that second layer on. Let's make us some burlap buttons. Cut you a secondary smaller piece of cardboard and glue it on top of the other. Cut you a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square burlap and glue it onto the cardboard circle. On this cardboard disc, you will just do 4 corners and then fold the other underneath. If you need to, you can trim it off with scissors. The main thing is not to have any kind of raveled edge or raw edge, and make sure it's good and tucked. You can even paint these if you wanted to. These make beautiful primitive sunflowers. And glue your button in the center. We're going to make a second one because honestly, I could not make up my mind which one of these sunflowers would go atop of my Scarecrow hat. So the burlap Scarecrow hat is going to be on my porch setter. And if you want to know about the porch setter, I'll make sure to link the video down in the description box as well as above. Now I'm going to tell you, this is the old-fashioned way of taking flimsy flowers and making them stiff but pliable. Tacky glue. You're going to use 3 parts water to 1 part tacky glue. Mix it in a bowl, saturate the fabric, strain it out or squeeze them, and then let them sit for about 30 minutes and they will be dry. As you can see, the fabric is still pliable but stiff, and it will stay in place. To decide, my daughter picked this one. So we went with the bright orange that will match my current decor for this fall. Now the tiki skirt, if you have that or some raffia, make you a little bundle there and glue it in the very top and cut it and fray it out and fluff it. This will make it truly look like a genuine scarecrow. Wind it with some jute twine, tie it off, and voila, we have our beautiful scarecrow hat. And this is how to make a burlap scarecrow hat. Ours costed a whole $1, and that is about all we had in it since we had the stuff already. Cha-ching! $17.99 if you had to buy it. This is Elizabeth. Until the next DIY, well, I'll be crafting, y'all.